Alana is a certified life coach and inner voice facilitator. She blends mindset and inner voice work to help her clients create more joy. Today, she's sharing how fear is one of your biggest allies in creating more joy and how to move through the 4 stages of fear to achieve your goals. Okay, hang on a minute.
So excited to be sharing my topic with you guys, which is my biggest breakthrough. And my biggest breakthrough is for sure my relationship with fear, which started off as this like mortal enemy, hated enemy, to now a trusted ally in creating joy. And I want to talk about this topic because fear is something that I used to struggle so much with. Like, I literally had to ask my mom to speak to store clerks on my behalf because I was too afraid to ask them for my size. Like, even that, right? And this was like kind of the way that I lived most of my life. I really like held myself back because I was afraid to experience things like asking people out on a date or volunteering for work things, or I don't know, going to restaurants by myself. Basically, so many things that I wanted to do. I didn't know how to deal with the fear, and so I just didn't do them. And so what that created for me was a life where, everything was basically fine, but it was just kind of like just fine. And I knew that there was so much potential that I had that I wasn't fulfilling, and there were so many things that I wanted to experience that I wasn't letting myself experience. And I didn't love that, but I also didn't love how fear felt. And so every time life handed me opportunities to grow, I ran away from them, basically hid from the fear. And yeah, it kind of sucked. So that's why I want to share this breakthrough with you, which is my relationship with fear, what fear is, basically what the 4 stages of fear are. And this is so important because knowing what the stages of fear are kind of allows us to navigate through them and get to the other side. So, okay, the first thing is, what is fear? So fear is an emotion created by the brain to protect us from real or perceived danger. So if we go back to prehistoric times, one of the biggest fears that we still have today, is the fear of the unknown, right? So if we imagine in prehistoric times, this bush full of berries that the people of our community have tried and eaten, and they didn't die because they weren't poisonous, and they also ate from the bush, so they checked around the bush, there were no tigers. It was really helpful to know that, right? For survival, what we know can keep us safe. And then this bush over here, let's say no one has tasted the berries, so no one knows if they're poisonous or not. No one knows if there's tigers lurking around in the back. That was really dangerous to go and try those berries, right? So we've kind of evolved to fear the unknown because literally the unknown could be our literal death. And so although there are no more of those sorts of dangers anymore, I'm not sure where you live, but if you have the Wi-Fi to be watching this, probably don't have those dangers. So we don't have those dangers anymore, but we still have that same brain that's wired to fear the unknown. So that's the thing, right? Is whenever we're going to be doing something new, our brains are just wired to produce fear, and we're just going to be feeling fear. That's just normal part of the process. That's a normal part of being a human. So how do we navigate the fear? What are the 4 stages? So I made this amazing acronym, if I do say so myself, which is FEAR, F-E-A-R, each letter signifying 1 stage. So the first stage, F, is for freaking out. So let's say we're thinking about the thing we want to do, let's say to a presentation for work. So we're thinking about the thing and then we freak out, right? Like the fear comes up, we're like, oh my gosh, so scary. And we all have our different coping mechanisms. For me, for sure, Netflix, scrolling social media, basically everything except doing the thing, right? So kind of procrastinating a little bit and then beating myself up for not doing the thing, right? Because we're like freaking out, we are not doing the thing. So then we're kind of judging ourselves. And so that's what the stage is like the stage where the fear is paralyzing, and maybe there's even some judgment about that. And it's so important to know that this is an actual stage, because a lot of times we sort of judge ourselves for not even starting, because we think that we haven't taken the fact that we haven't taken any action means that we haven't started. But the fact that we are feeling fear means that we've started, right? Like if you think about it, why would you need to create fear if you weren't sort of planning on doing something? The mere presence of the fear suggests that you're considering doing this thing, that your brain is like opening up to the possibility of doing this thing, that you're doing this thing in your mind. And so then the primitive brain is like, oh no, she's going to do the thing, quick, send out the fear and like reel her back because she might die if she starts doing this thing. So the fact that you feel fear is this amazing indication that you're on the right track, that you want to do this thing, that you're going to be doing this thing. So that's stage 1, freaking out. Stage 2, E, for expecting the fear. So in stage 1, we're kind of waiting for the fear to go away before we take action. In stage 2, we've kind of like expect now that the fear is just going to be there. Maybe we've watched Netflix and the fear is still there after watching. So we're kind of recognizing the fear is just going to be there. And so because we're expecting the fear, we kind of start understanding that, okay, there's no way through except through. There's no way through the fear except experiencing the fear. And so it's almost like this, the fear becomes this like rickety bridge between where I am and where I want to go. Like if you've ever been on a suspension bridge, like they're kind of terrifying. There's just like some straggly old bridge like on top of an abyss. And your brain knows that it's safe, but in your body, like as you're experiencing walking through it, it's actually terrifying, right? And that's sort of like what the stage is about. It's like the only way to do the thing that I want to do is to do it while feeling the fear. So that's E, for expecting the fear. The third stage, A, is for aliveness. And aliveness in 2 ways. The first way is that you're literally physically alive, like you have done the thing and you are still alive, which sounds kind of funny. But remember, the brain is persuaded that this thing that you didn't know anything about was going to kill you. And so when you do it and you keep being alive, the brain starts to understand, oh, okay, maybe this thing is actually safe. And so it starts putting that thing into the safe berry bush category, right? So we have that aliveness from doing the thing. And then we also have the aliveness of actually completing this thing that was so scary. Like there's kind of an exhilaration and like a fun and a joy of doing a scary thing, right? Like if you think about a roller coaster, like how much fear and on the other side fun is there in that? Comparing that to like I don't know, the like little teacups that you like you spin, probably totally different intensity of fun and exhilaration from the teacups, yeah. So that is A, for aliveness. Then the last stage is releasing and repeating. So in this stage, we've maybe done the thing enough times for the brain to understand that it's not actually going to kill us. So maybe sometimes one time is enough, sometimes a few times is enough. But basically we've done it, we've created enough evidence that this thing is not going to kill us. And so then the brain fully puts that thing in the safe bush category, and it can start releasing the fear. It doesn't need to produce fear anymore because fear was only there to prevent you from doing this unknown thing. Now this thing has become known. There's no longer any need for the fear. It can release it. And so from that place, now we've like grown our identity to incorporate this thing. And then there's like this expansion of ourselves, this joy that's created from being more of who we are, including more things that bring us joy. So the definition of joy is becoming more of who you are. And so when you start allowing things to come to you that you were so afraid of, it's like you can also expand your capacity to have joy and include things that you were previously preventing. So then because we've done this cycle a few times, we might change the thing, right? Like we might not be fearing doing presentations anymore, but anytime there's a new thing, fear is going to be created again, right? Like maybe, I don't know, presenting in front of 1,000 people, maybe the brain is like, oh no, that thing is going to kill us though. And so because we've done the cycle, our brains start seeing that even the cycle itself doesn't need to be something to be feared. Like fear itself doesn't need to be something to be feared. And so then we can start moving through the stages more and more quickly and growing more and more quickly, and then creating more and more joy because we're growing and becoming more and more of who we are. So from that place, we can kind of see that fear is this amazing tool for growth and therefore joy, but this amazing tool for growth because without the fear, we literally wouldn't grow, right? Like if there was no fear, there would be no growth. So it's not like in spite of fear we grow, it's like because of fear we grow. So fear is this like amazing thing that allows us to become more of who we are. And on top of that, it also is this nudge from our inner knowing about what are the things that might bring us joy that we might want to do. So I'm thinking randomly of an example like, let's say, dressing up in a clown outfit, going to the mall. Like that's, I guess, technically kind of scary, but it doesn't scare me at all because that's just not something that I want to do, right? So using fear as like, oh, I'm a little bit afraid of this thing. Maybe that's something that I actually want to do. It's just such a powerful way of using fear as like data, right? Like data from my inner knowing about what are things that could create more joy for me and light me up. So what I want to leave you with is, what if fear wasn't an enemy, but what if fear was an amazing ally in your growth? Not only because it protects you from actual danger, like so amazing to have fear to run away if there's an actual tiger chasing you, but also fear is this amazing ally that shows you, hey, these are the places you might want to grow in. So in that way, if we can change the relationship we have with fear, we can also change the relationships that we have with ourselves. We can learn to love ourselves and learn to embrace the different parts of ourselves that we were fearing before and grow more and more. So I hope that this presentation was helpful to you. If it was, I am going to be doing a webinar on the Life Coach University's website on October 15th at the same time as the Breakthrough Festival time, but it will be on October 15th. And I will be talking more about this topic, going more in depth into the stages and sort of strategies to navigate through the stages. And I would also love it if you followed me on Instagram, if that sounds aligning to you. It's at Alana Moves, so ALANAMOVES. And I just wish you the most amazing day. I hope you embrace your fear, and I will see you around. Bye.